world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Welcome back to Fantasy Baseball Code Red on InRavio.com. I'm the Admiral. Next to me is the well-rested General. How are you today, General?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. All right, listen, we are wrapping up, I guess, the second week of the season already.
It goes quick.
It really does. It really does. We're going to be entering week 3. We've got some guys here that are off to great starts. Let's start the show with our Who's Hot and Who's Not segment. Emilio Bonifacio. Where'd this guy come from? Who is this guy?
I don't know, but he's off to a really hot start. Fantastic right now.
Batting .500. He's got a .537 on-base percentage, 7 out of 7 in stolen bases.
Right now, he's fantasy heaven for you.
And on top of that, multiple position eligibility.
Yeah. I don't know if
he's eligible at second, third, and in the outfield.
Yeah, I don't think he can keep it up all year long. But the stolen bases, that's what the big thing is right now. They're hard to come by. Mm-hmm. And, you get one player that can put up a lot of them. They can keep you in any week if you're in a competitive league. He'll keep you in the stolen base category the whole way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And every night it's 2 for 4.
Yeah, well, it's going to cool off eventually. But right now, you're riding high.
Riding high. Another guy, who is this guy? Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon is a guy that's been picked up in our league, and I wish I would have picked him up. And again, I don't know if good old Charlie is going to be in there for the long haul, but right now he's unconscious. So
I'll tell you, he's hitting .471, 1 home run, 8 runs batted in, tossed in a couple of steals, but he's getting at bats, and he is producing in a big way.
He's not much of a home run hitter, but you know what? He's hitting well right now. They always thought he was going to hit better than he had. He's getting his experience. He's been around a couple of years now. You know what? I would have taken a flyer on if he was still available.
Absolutely.
With all the injuries out there.
You ride that wave as long as you can.
Why not?
Yeah. Another guy, Brandon Belt.
Now, this guy is actually, he's in another world right now.
Brandon Belt leads the league in home runs right now with 5.
Mr. Belt, a couple years back, I didn't think that Belt was ever going to get to this point. I thought we were going to see a guy that was maybe going to hit 15, 17 homers, but now it's starting to look like you're going to see a 25 to 30 home run guy. He's really developing into a decent hitter, a better than decent hitter, a very solid hitter in a pretty good lineup. So
you know what? He had a great second half last year. And
he's finding himself right now.
Had a great spring. It's starting to be consistent now. Where there were times where he would show some flashes, but he's been pretty consistent now, and certainly worth.
The Brandon Belt fans out there are now all smiling. I remember a couple of years ago, this guy everyone was going crazy over Brandon Belt, and nothing ever really materialized. Now last year, like you said, had a little bit of a breakthrough. Now you're starting to see what could be a really, really good hitter here. So
it could be just a late bloomer.
Yeah,
one of those situations.
Absolutely.
Another guy, Mark Trumbo. Now, he got traded over to Arizona, which I like because that's a hitter's haven. But hitting .250 right now, but 5 home runs, 13 runs batted in.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what they got him for. He is producing exactly what they wanted. He's giving them the power they're looking for. They need it. And right now, another guy that you ride high. You worry a little bit with him with the average and whatnot, but I think that the home run and RBI production will be there. We don't care about his defensive stats. He's a butcher in the outfield, but
he's a butcher at first base.
Just don't get hurt.
And how about Melky? Melky Cabrera, folks. I got to tell you,
He embarrassed the Yankees, I can tell you that.
Right now, he's embarrassing everybody, hitting .325. He's got 4 home runs, only 5 runs batted in, 1 stolen base. But, you know, you kind of wonder what happens when this guy starts hitting the ball out of the park. It makes you wonder.
I'm not really wondering. I mean, he was always a good hitter. You know, this whole steroid things, I'm not sure how much it helped him, but he's a good hitter now. He was a good hitter before. So I'm not really totally surprised. I don't think he's going to hit 30 homers, but he's red hot right now. And
well, listen, he homered in 4 straight games.
I mean,
that's a little bit of a red flag for the Admiral. Michael Kadire batting .415, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in.
Well, you know, Kadire is a professional hitter.
He's an old professional hitter, but he's playing in a great park. And you know what?
Hitter.
He's the kind of guy where, you know, if you get 25 home runs and 80, 90 runs batted in out of the guy, you're very happy.
I love Kadire when he was eligible at second base. Those were the days.
Yeah, strictly an outfielder now. But and another guy, you know, we talked about earlier in the season, I guess in our preview show, but Dee Gordon. And we said, you know what? If this guy can get on base, he's going to be a weapon. And batting .394 so far.
Well, he's getting on base, and you know, if he can at least hit 270, similar to Billy Hamilton, if these guys could just hit 270 and get on base enough, maybe have an on base percentage in the 320, 330 range, that's probably just passable enough to make them valuable, where they can use their speed, help the team, and be a real good, you know, fantasy baseball player for it.
He's got 4 stolen bases already. If he continues, you know, I mean, he's not going to continue hitting .394, but if he continues getting on base. Here's a guy that can, you know, steal you 60 or 70.
Without a doubt.
Potentially. Pitchers, you know, we've got our typical, you know, guys that you would expect to get off to a hot start. You know, so Jose Fernandez, proving that he's the real deal.
Yep.
Felix Hernandez, Chris Sale, Scherzer, Wainwright. They're all off to good starts. But, you know, we like to kind of give you guys, you know, our feelings on who will break out. Who's the guy that you wouldn't expect to get off to a great start? So, General Damas, what do you got for us?
Well, I don't know who I wouldn't have expected to get off to a great start, but Mark Buehrle, typically right now he's pitching way above his head. Typically,
way above.
I mean, he's 2-0 on the season already. He's striking out a man per inning.
0.64
ERA is low. You know, this is typically not a Mark Buehrle. And listen, he could go on a 5 or 6 game tear right now. Enjoy it. I mean, because he has not been that type of pitcher his entire career, that's for sure. Well,
here's a guy that has and kind of lost his way for a while, but he seems to be back in a pretty big way. It's Tim Hudson. You know, out in San Francisco now. You know, he's 2-0, 1.15 ERA, 0.64 WHIP. He's even striking out a few guys, 11 strikeouts in 15 2/3. You know, something in the water out in San Francisco.
It's a renaissance man. You know, Hudson, you know, he had the injury last year. Looks like there's no ill effects at all. I have him on my team. I'm happy. Right now, it's all systems go. So.
You know, he's been a guy that you can continually rely on in the past for low ERA, low WHIP, not a ton of strikeouts, but he's a guy that, you know, will help you more than hurt you. And, you know, he seems to be, you know, on a, you know, off to a good start and you know, on his way to a pretty decent season. Scott Feldman, 2-0, 0.66 ERA, 0.66 WHIP. Out in Houston, Houston, we could have a problem, or we got a good thing going.
Yeah, listen, they've got one decent starting pitcher, maybe 1.5, if you want to include Jared Cosarts, who, by the way, finally got lit up after he had 10 starts last year where he gave up 2 runs or less. He didn't get any wins out of it because Houston is so bad, but he had 10 really good starts in a row, all 10 of his starts, and then he had one good start to start this year. And, of course, he finally got blown up a little bit. But he's had 12 starts in the majors. 11 of them are good. But nobody believes in him because he can't strike anybody out. But anyway.
That's the thing.
So they really have Feldman as the number one. And, listen, he's never going to win. I mean, I'd be shocked if he won 15 games on that team.
Well, that's taller in Houston. But, you know, again, a guy that can probably help you a little bit more than hurt you.
Yes.
You know, if you've got this guy as your 4th or 5th starter,
hey, take the no decisions.
You can do a lot worse.
Yeah, hope for the no decisions and just run with that. And if you pick up some losses along the way, you got some good innings out of them. So.
And out in Milwaukee, how about Giovanni Gallardo?
Another guy that, another little bit of a renaissance with him because he, yeah, a bit of an off year last year, I would say. Not like a disastrous season.
He's been a little up and down.
Yeah, it was an off, the ERA wasn't like ridiculously high, but it was over 4. So, you know what? I had my eye on him this year. You drafted him before I had a chance to get him. I was going to go after him, and my instincts proved out. Your instincts proved out. He's off to a good start.
He's off to a 2-0 start. Has not given up an earned run yet.
Yeah.
In 2 starts. So
he's quickly put away all those fears of what we saw last year, where he just couldn't seem to get on any kind of a roll with that team. He just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah.
But still a solid starter. Still a young guy in my mind. So.
Yeah. All right. Who's not hot? Who's stinking it up right now?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of guys that I just throw out there that I'm just gonna let's get your reaction on that we don't have down here on our notes today. But I was looking today at Joe Mauer. Very, very quiet. I mean, he was this whole thing. We were going to get him in at first base. He's done catching. This guy's a hitter, and this guy is a hitter. I mean, we know he's a hitter.
Yeah.
He's out there right now at 250 with 2 doubles, no RBIs, no home runs. I know he's going to get going.
Here's the situation. He is a hitter. He's a pure hitter. He should do better this year without catching. You expect that he won't get run down toward the end of the year, but. Let's be real. This guy had 1 year where he hit a lot of home runs. He's not a big home run hitter.
No.
He's a high average hitter. He's a gap hitter. He should be able to drive in runs. He should stay fresh all year. But I think, the chances of him hitting 28 home runs again, probably pretty slim.
Probably are. But I would think that you could get, 10, 15 homers out of him. He could drive in 100 runs with 15 homers.
Absolutely.
He definitely could, because that's the kind of hitter that he
without
is.
Question.
Tons of doubles. Lots of base hits. He should hit 320, 330 in a relaxed atmosphere out there. Not a whole lot of support in that lineup, but still in all, he should be able to put up some pretty good numbers this year with the first base situation and some DH and give him a break from first base too.
Sure. So. A guy that I was really high on coming into the season because he had a monstrous spring. Mike Moustakas. Moose. What happened?
I think that the guru and myself might have cautioned you a little bit about this Moustakas watch because we've been down this road before with Moustakas, and we
haven't been down this road. He's 1 for 26.
Listen. We've. I mean, what he was doing over spring training didn't sell me on anything. I'm pretty much convinced that he's not there yet in terms of being what we think he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think this is the typical situation where guy has a big spring. He wants to carry it over into the regular season. He wants this to be his breakout year. And, the minute he steps to the plate in the regular season, he freezes up.
The state's right.
We got another Ike Davis on
Performance anxiety, folks, right here on Code
Red.
Red.
That's what it is. Well, listen. I'm not going to go there. All right, Colby Rasmus. Here's a guy that a lot of people expected to break out this year.
Not me. I never liked him. I don't like his swing either.
Highly touted prospect for a number of years, and he's off to a 3 for 30.
I don't know. Like I said, I never expected much out of him anyway. So he'll turn it around. He's one of these guys that every year in our league he gets dropped. He gets picked up again by someone else. He goes out and hit for 2 weeks. It's always
the revolving door with
and then he gets dropped again. And the same thing is going to develop here.
Let's call him that from now on. Colby the revolving door Rasmus. It's going to happen. Here's a guy that I think is putting a lot of pressure on himself in a contract year, but Chase Headley. Chase is off to a big 4 for 32 start.
We are so far removed from the Chase Headley of, was it 2 years ago?
He had that 1 year.
We are so far removed from that he is not that player. We thought we were seeing a breakout of a slugging third baseman in the National League. But that right now he's a one-hit wonder in my mind.
He's a guy that had a great minor league career, came up with big expectations, never really fulfilled them until that one season. And that was
a heck of a season.
It was a heck of a season.
Anyone that can drive in 100 runs on the Padres gets my vote.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, but here he is, 4 for 32 in a contract year. I kind of thought in a contract year he might be one of those guys that has another career year. In a contract year, it's his walk year. You think maybe he's going to try to step it up this year, but not off to a great start.
No.
And I'm a little embarrassed to bring this guy's name up because you guys have been giving me a hard time about Travis Stowe.
Listen.
Travis d'Arnaud, you know what? He's 3 for 23. He did get a couple of hits against Atlanta the other night. Because he had been 0 for his first, I want to say 18 or so. Yeah. And, it's funny, the Mets catchers combined were like 0 for their first 28 or 30. I mean, how pathetic is that?
Go get him out in Flushing, guys. Have at it. I mean, listen, d'Arnaud, again, I put him in that category of he's no longer a prospect. We're not talking about a young man anymore. He's 25, I think, years of age.
I think he's 24.
You know what?
I'm going to cut him a little slack. I'm going to cut him a little slack.
You got to hit eventually.
He's got to, but his problem, I think, is he hasn't played a full season at any level for a number of years. So now you throw him into the bigs, and I think this is a guy that's going to take a little bit of time to mature at the plate and feel comfortable. He's the guy. He's the guy. I mean,
they have nowhere else to turn.
They have nowhere else to turn. They're going to give this guy a lot of rope. So I think it's going to take him some time to settle in. Is he going to have a huge year this year? Probably not.
Listen, I think, we've done some d'Arnaud bashing. We had some laughs with him and some fun with him. But I think at this point, I'll go out there again and I'll kind of repeat what I said a couple weeks back, that if you got 10 to 12 homers out of d'Arnaud and he hit 280 and drove in 60 runs, take that as a first step towards maybe getting better in the years to come. Right. But right now, let's just get that out of the way. And let's forget about, a guy who was traded twice for Cy Young Award winners, because that's basically what happened with Halladay and also with Dickey. Yeah. So let's just get to the point where we're hitting 270, 12 homers, and 60 RBIs, and let's just use that as our jump-off point and go from there,
I'm good with that. But he looks lost.
Let's not be looking for the 25 homers, Met fans. Enough already with the 25 homers out of d'Arnaud.
Here's another guy we can
David Wright has trouble hitting 25 homers there.
Curtis Granderson.
Well,
he's off to a 4 for 29 start. No home runs.
No, he homered. I think he homered once.
Did he homer?
He's got one homer.
Maybe one. Maybe one.
All right, well, I'm not worried about Grandy, but the thing is with Granderson is that, in a good lineup like the Yankees, you can go out there and hit 240, 250, 260, strike out 180 times, and you're going to still drive in 100 runs.
You can live with that.
Now,
if you're the Yankees, you can't live with that.
It's not going to play as well in Flushing because they need more than that because they don't have a supporting cast to put up with it. So Granderson, when the smoke clears, is probably going to be in the 25 homer range, and I'm going to say 85 to 90 RBIs. I'm even afraid to say that.
But listen, let's face it. The only legit hitters in that lineup are Wright and Granderson. Maybe you want to throw Murphy into that mix a little bit, but there's really nobody in there that you're going to count on to have a good, consistent year at the plate there.
I agree.
We've got a mess with the Mets at first base. They don't know what they want to do. Is it Davis? Is it Duda? Is it Davis? Is it Duda? We don't know.
It's why would they even come out and announce that they've named Lucas Duda the first baseman? And the guy goes out and hits 2 homers. The next day, Ike pinch hits, it's a grand slam. And then since Sunday, it's been alternating who's playing. Who's on first, actually, is what we're doing. Who's on first, what's on second. So, now I don't know where they're at with this. But honestly, they made a decision they should have stuck with it and let Duda be the first baseman, at least for 100 at-bats, or 150 at-bats. So I don't know where we're going to go from here with those guys, but we digress.
All right, a couple other quick guys. Hunter Pence, 4 for 36, not too worried about him. Prince Fielder, 6 for 37. Not too worried about him. I still say he has a monster year this year. A couple of pitchers off to really crappy starts. Trevor Cahill, 0 for 3, or 0 and 3, 7.90 ERA, 2.05 WHIP, 20 hits and 8 walks in 13
He's going to end up in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So.
And finally, Ricky Nolasco, not
up and down
a big
Ricky,
surprise.
Just right, with him.
Right now he's riding a 9 ERA and a 2.30 WHIP, 17 hits, 6 walks in 10 innings pitched. Very hittable.
Yeah, without a doubt. A couple other guys I just want to throw out there before we wrap up this segment. Early season surprises. Chris Colabello out in Minnesota, hitting 370, 1 homer, 11 RBIs at this point. And also James Paxton out in Seattle, 2-0. 13 Ks in 12 innings, 2.25 ERA. He is injured at the moment. I'm not quite sure if it's serious or not, but
they're saying at least a few weeks.
And the other guy just throw out there, Angel Pagan, hitting well over 400 out in San Francisco. He is. The Mets want that one back. That's the one you want back.
And Chris Gomez. I'll take him back too, please.
Carlos Gomez.
Carlos Gomez. All right, we're going to take a quick break for commercial. We'll be back in a couple of minutes on Fantasy Baseball Code Red.
InRavio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural,
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Girls, 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 all have something to say. Some say their emotions get in the way. Some like them big, some like them skinny. Oh, girls, who's come this way? We must unite, this is the place. You don't have to show your face. Girls, I'll be a lady of today. So say what you
Hey Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On InRavio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
InRavio.com.
Hey, we are back on Fantasy Baseball Code Red. Let's get into our waiver wire segment. There's some guys worthy of picking up right now. One guy that comes to mind immediately is Ervin Santana, a guy that may have slipped through the cracks in some leagues. Went out and pitched a gem against the Mets the other night. Really looked dominant.
Everyone pitches good for the Braves. That's the bottom line.
And everyone pitches well against the Mets.
That too. He said it, not me, folks.
Well, listen, we'll see. Right now Santana's going to be, he's going to be in there for a while. I mean, the Braves are still waiting for Minor to come back. They're still waiting for Gavin Floyd to come back. So it's going to be a little while. He's certainly going to get some opportunity. The wheel goes round and round. We've got a couple of changes in the bullpen for a couple of teams. Jim Johnson, out.
It's probably temporary. I mean, this seems to be the way to handle this now, is that you take the guy out, similar to what's happening with Jim Henderson and Francisco.
Well, that's what they say now. What they say is has been replaced temporarily.
Yeah,
in his closer role.
I've never seen this before anywhere in any position on the field except for the closer position. It's not like a situation where you say, well, geez, the second baseman's not doing well right now. We're going to take him out of there for 3 games and then put him back in again.
Right.
Usually, one person runs with the position and goes from there. This closer
He might get a day off, like a mental health day.
Nobody knows what to do with these closers.
These closers, they don't know what
That's
to
the
do.
bottom
They don't know
line
what
with
to
this
do.
whole thing. So, Jim Johnson, welcome to the carousel.
Jim Johnson out, committee in.
The committee. The committee's the best closer in baseball.
Listen, Oakland, this is one hell of a committee. Here we go. Dan Otero, Ryan Cook, Sean Doolittle, and Luke Gregerson.
Hey, you could probably do just as well with all 4 of those guys in the rotation on a daily basis.
I have to tell you, that's a mess. I mean, the only guy I think that has any kind of potential in that mess is Gregerson, but...
Hence the reason why closers should not be paid big money, and hence the reason why you should not be drafting closers early in your draft.
Yeah, and then another closer situation out in Flushing with the Mets. We have Bobby Parnell out for the rest of the season. another guy. Let's add another guy to the long list of Tommy John surgery.
Well, it's about to get longer as we
It's gonna
continue
get
the show
longer.
because
It's gonna
right
get
now
longer.
there is more happening. So.
Yeah. I mean, Parnell, opening day, now out for the year. Mets happen to have Jose Valverde to fall back
Papa
on.
Grande.
Listen,
Hey, if nothing else, you have the best nickname on the Mets. We have Papa Grande, and he gets very excited when he gets a save. So
he does.
if you have nothing else better to look forward to, just get him out there to save a game.
Probably capable of handling the job.
He could do it.
Listen,
he can be no worse than Parnell.
Well, he had a bit of a meltdown, in a non-save situation the other night. Mets do have a guy to fall back on in Kyle Farnsworth. Don't be surprised if you see Farnsworth in there for a couple of save opportunities. We may have a bit of a committee situation there. Who knows? I think they're going to have to go with the hot hand for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
Another guy just came off the DL and will get some saves immediately is Jonathan Broxton in Cincinnati.
Yes.
At least for the next 2 to 4 weeks until Chapman comes back. Chapman has started throwing. I would not drop Broxton immediately upon Chapman's return, only because I still say there's a psychological issue to be dealt with here.
Yeah.
He may jump right back in and be fine. He may be tentative, out of the gate, and they may have to ease him back in. So I wouldn't run the drop Broxton, the minute that Chapman comes back.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just see what happens.
I'm going to throw out a name for you. Possible waiver wire pickup.
Uh-oh.
Somebody you may want to pick up now and sit on for a couple of months.
Oh, a couple of months, okay.
All right. Another Santana, another pitcher.
Oh, no. All
right, listen, guys. Johan Santana.
The Admiral is famous for bringing out these Mets that are done. Last year it was Jason Bay. Now it's Johan Santana.
Listen, he has impressed in simulated games, okay? According to Buck Showalter, he's showing good velocity. He's throwing all of his pitches. Listen, I'm not saying that this guy is going to save your season, but not a bad guy to throw up or to pick up.
You're gonna throw up. You're gonna throw up once you use that move.
A Freudian slip.
And you're stuck with him on your roster.
Listen, not a guy to pick up and to stash and see what happens.
All right. Now I'll make my statement. This is not even close to CC Sabathia's drop off. You didn't like Sabathia because the velocity has dropped from 96 down to 89 or 88 or 90. Well, this is Santana, and he was at that point 3 years ago,
Okay.
2
but
years ago.
Here's the difference.
He better have learned how to pitch.
Santana, his out pitch was the changeup.
That is a big difference.
Sabathia relied heavily on the fastball. When you lose the fastball and that's your pitch, that's a bigger problem.
I have a hard time. I mean, with me, it's a wait and see. If he has a couple of decent starts, maybe you take a shot. But it's too early today to sit on him for 2 months. I'll say that.
Right. A couple other guys that we talked about already. Melky Cabrera, if he's out there, he's worthy of a pickup. Blackman, Calabello.
I have a couple guys.
One more guy I want to mention is Echeverria in Miami. You know what? He's off to a 378 start. He's batting leadoff. He's not a...
He's a short-term guy.
He's a short-term guy, probably. I mean, I think the best you're going to get out of this guy is some batting average and a couple of steals, maybe some runs scored. He's not going to hit for power. But at a very thin shortstop position, you may want to, he's a plug-and-play while he's hot.
Yeah, that's about it. He's a plug-and-play, and you ride him for a couple of weeks, get the most out of him that you can, and you move on. Mm-hmm. He won't be a mainstay. He's probably replacing an injured player for you or whatever. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. What else you have?
I got a couple of guys that may be available out there, depending on your league. David Hale, starting pitcher. He will pitch next week. He has a good matchup. We'll go over that during the streamers. Actually, I think he's pitching against the Mets, folks. Sorry. We're back to the Mets bashing here. But David Hale had a good outing the other day. Definitely worth a streamer pickup and possibly a starting pitcher that may go the distance for you during the season. Also, a man that I fell in love with a few years ago, Colby Lewis. If we had the show back then, he would have been a man crush for me. He's all the way back, folks. Now, he was supposed to pitch Sunday in Houston or against Houston, and I think that's now been changed. He's been pushed out. It's probably likely that he's going to pitch against Seattle somewhere in the week next week.
Still a good start.
It's worth taking a look on him. And the guy I throw out there every week, just to keep in mind, you will not see this guy on a major league roster probably till June because of the compensatory pick that they're going to have to give up. Whoever signs him is Kendry Morales. Listen, this guy's still a hitter.
Yeah.
So if he lands somewhere in June, after that period passes where they'll have to give the pickup, worthy of being on a roster.
Absolutely. I mentioned that last week along with Stephen Drew.
We forget about these guys because they're just sitting out there in no man's land.
You know, I'm not a huge Stephen Drew fan.
I'm not either, but
the guy's got to be on a major
Morales
league roster.
He should be, but
He should be. I mean, you know, the shortstop
and he
position
certainly
is
could
weak.
help someone's team on a fantasy baseball roster as well. But I don't know if I'd sit on him for a month or two. But Morales, I think, might be a different story. I might be willing to sit on for a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's take a tour around the league on the injury update. The
Oh
injury
boy, this is a
report.
mess, folks. This is a mess.
Well, we're going to start off with two guys that have a common injury this week, one more severe than the other. Josh Hamilton and Yasiel Puig. I'm going to let you talk about boneheadedness.
This is, I mean, we're at the point now, honestly, with with these guys with the sliding into first base, head first, and breaking thumbs and doing all this damage to their fingers. And we're at the point now where, honestly, when these guys get signed to these multi-million-dollar contracts, it's time to write it into the contract that if you slide head first, just say first base only. You don't have to do the other. Well, I would do all the bases, but let's just say first base only. If you dive head first and you get hurt, you are not getting paid. And I don't care what anyone says. This is getting ridiculous.
Here's the situation, and I agree with you 100%. All right, first of all, let's just make sure everybody knows what's going on here. Josh Hamilton, a complete tear of his thumb. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. After getting off to a pretty decent start, he was hitting .444.
Yeah, we're all excited.
With 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in, and a steal. Puig was off to a little bit of a slow start. But here's the situation. When you're running to first base, you do not gain, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of analysts and a lot of people, you don't gain anything by sliding head first into first base. Okay? I can understand any other base to a degree because you usually have a tag play involved. So if you want to slide into first base on a tag play and try to get around the tag, I can understand.
Right.
Okay? Sliding into first base is just utter stupidity.
It is, and the thing with Hamilton that is the most annoying about this injury, which is going to put him out at least for 2 months, is that he ended up doing this 2 years ago at home plate and was knocked out for a significant amount of time also. It's like, come on. You did it twice now? Stop doing that. It's dumb.
It's stupidity. It's stupidity.
And no one's ever safe anyway.
You know what, guys? I mean, it's obvious. It's just physics. I mean, if you run through a base, you're going to get there quicker than if you take the time to change your whole momentum to dive. And if you come up short on the slide, you're now going to, you've got the ground slowing you down. It just makes no sense.
I mean, Puig will recover. Hamilton won't.
Hamilton's
It's a
6 to
mess.
8 weeks.
It's a mess.
All right, we talked about Bobby Parnell. We talked a little bit about James Paxton. He's out 15 days with a lat strain. He was off to a great start. Casey Jansen, we're talking probably next week. Jose Reyes, 16th, they're talking about eligibility to be activated from the DL.
Yep.
He'll probably be back, but with that type of injury, there's a little bit of a question there on how quickly he's going to get back.
And when he comes back, is he going to steal bases? As I've always
Well, that's my point.
contended, Reyes will hit, Reyes will play short, but as I predicted a few years back when he signed the contract, a couple years back, that these stolen base totals are going to start dropping off, and we're starting to see it now. It's on a decline. He'll still be a hitter, though.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the Atlanta Braves starting pitching situation. Mike Minor and Gavin Floyd should be back late April.
Yep.
Clayton Kershaw,
that's a rough one there.
That's a rough one. Another guy in a contract year, out until probably sometime in May. They're going to take their sweet time with him.
They got 30 million reasons to.
Yeah. So that's a rough one. And then Hisashi Iwakuma, another guy that we talked about as being one of the most underrated pitchers in the game right now, due back late April. So let's jump into our Man Crush 2014. I liked our Man Crush last year a lot better. You know, we had some interesting characters. I went with Bryce Harper this year. You know, Bryce, you know, he's off to a horrible start. 6 for 29. You know, dropped to 7th in the order on a couple of games this week. Not sure what's in his head right now or what's going on and why he can't seem to get started.
He's a mystery man. I mean, you know, all I keep saying about him, and you know how I feel about Bryce Harper, is that you know he's never really gotten to the point that he should have been at by now. Mike Trout blew past him like he was standing still.
Yeah,
and
I mean, listen, the guy's still 20.
I
get it.
That's the thing.
But this guy has Adrian Beltre written all over him. You know, Beltre, the same thing. You know, it took him forever to really get to a point where he was fulfilling his expectation. And I kept saying every year with Beltre, well, he's still 21, he's still 22, he's still 23, he's still 24, you know, he's still 25. And then he finally busted out. But, you know, I'm wondering if that's going to be the situation with this guy. What's going on with your Man Crush?
Well, Grady Sizemore, you know, listen, I mean, we're just taking it slow and easy. He's getting hits. He went 3 for 4 the other night. I think he'll start playing some of the other corner positions now, too. They're going to move him around a little bit to take a little bit of the strain off of playing center field. Listen, I'm happy. He's not hurt, all right? He's had a couple of games off, but he's played. He's hit. Right now, I'm happy with the production so far. I think if he stays healthy, he will be productive in that lineup.
Yeah,
in that lineup especially.
I have to agree. All right, you know what? Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Fantasy Baseball Code Red on InRavio.com.
InRavio.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Canfield, host of Nerdgasm.
I'm Joe Winchell, nobody likes me. And I'm Peppercorn Montgomery.
Tune in every Wednesday night, only on InRavio.com, to hear the greatest nerd discussion of all time. It is Nerdgasmic.
It'll be the best Nerdgasm you've ever had.
And be sure to watch In or Out, pun intended, on Friday nights on InRavio.com.
InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back here on Fantasy Baseball Code Red. You know what, General? Let's go into the rookie class and see what's going on with rookies that are up in the bigs and guys that we expect to be up. You want to start with your favorite guy?
Well, I'll just throw out where a couple of these guys are at right now, down on the farm, and expecting to see them up soon. George Springer's off to a 280 start, no homers, 3 RBIs, 1 stolen base. They're only 20 at bats into the season, not a lot happening there. So, we'll check back with him soon. A couple of guys that I am interested in that are off to a little bit of a hot start is Gregory Polanco. He's hitting 409, homer, 4 RBIs out of the chute. You just like to see that. It makes you happy when a guy comes out strong.
I'll tell you what, he's going to be the final piece to what is going to be a very good outfield in Pittsburgh.
It's going to be awesome.
I mean, when you put him up there with McCutchen and Marte, that is going to be one heck of an outfield.
Absolutely. The other two guys that you should have high hopes for as a Met fan, Rafael Montero and Noah Syndergaard. Both have had good starts. Montero's actually had 2 starts, 11 innings, 14 Ks. Yeah, it's honestly, we can have that discussion too on another show, but Syndergaard, 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 Ks, 1 walk, off to a good start also. Both guys are ready. That was Syndergaard's first AAA start. Montero, of course, was there last year. He's just continuing. So both of those guys off to good starts. Archie Bradley off to a good start, first start of the year, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, few Ks, a couple of walks. So you like to see that, because
another guy I just want to mention, before we get too far away from the Mets, is Henry Mejia. You know what? The Mets have the makings of a very good young pitching staff. We're going to have to live with Colon, and he's done a good job, so I can't complain.
He can't bunt, but he can pitch.
He can't bunt. But I'll tell you something. Harvey, if he comes back and is Harvey again, Wheeler's going to take a little time, but he's got great stuff. Montero, Mejia, Syndergaard. Guys, we could have a serious rotation. Rotation.
They'd be better off bringing those guys up now and getting them in to help that bullpen out.
But they won't. Well, let's save that for next week.
But they should. A couple of guys I'll just throw out there also that are off to bad starts. Javier Baez, the guy who lit it up a little bit in spring training with the Cubs. We thought he was going to be the second baseman. Ended up not happening.
Right.
He's off to a 1 for 18 start.
1 for 18, and Starlin Castro is starting to heat up.
Right.
So no rush with Baez, even though we're looking at Baez probably as a second baseman. But if Castro's hitting, I think they'll live with Darwin Barney for a little while longer. Eventually Baez will be up, though.
Yeah, he will. Just a couple more guys I'll throw out there. I'll call this guy a dark horse, kind of coming out of nowhere. I really didn't have him on my radar at all, but I guess now you have to pay attention. You Red Sox fans, Henry Owens. A couple starts, 18 Ks, 12 innings pitched down in AA Portland for the Red Sox. Had a decent season last year. You know what? If anything's possible, I really didn't have him on my radar. AA does not necessarily mean he's not good enough for AAA, as most of you know. AA is kind of like the holding pattern for a lot of guys before they go right to the majors from there. AAA might be for some older players, depending on what the parent team does. So.
I've seen guys in leagues pick him up already. So I guess it's never too soon.
Yeah, I guess so. And the only guy I'll just throw out there is Byron Buxton is still injured. Probably back in a couple weeks. I doubt you're going to see him this year. And Jamison Talion over in Pittsburgh is out for the year. Tommy John surgery.
Another Tommy John victim.
Tommy John, his legacy is going to live on for quite some time, I believe.
Yeah. A couple guys I want to throw out. Taijuan Walker looks like he's going to be late April. I'm not sure if they're going to rush him right back into the majors, but he'll probably get a couple of starts down in AAA. We will see him soon.
Yep.
Chris Bryant, another Cubs prospect. The Cubs, they're doing okay right now as far as loading up the system there. Here's a guy who's a natural third baseman, but there is talk of converting him, and I think he's already doing it, to an outfielder. Mm-hmm. They've got Mike Olt, who they're going to give a really good opportunity to stick at third base.
Yep.
Another former high prospect. But I think Chris Bryant is a guy that, if he comes up and plays in the outfield, will be a guy that will make a big impact sooner than later.
And just one more guy before I forget, and if you have another one, of course, go ahead. But Nick Franklin, if you remember, Franklin lost out in the competition in spring training, got sent down. He is red hot down there. He is 9 for 19, 3 homers, 7 RBIs.
He's trade bait.
So yeah, he probably will be traded.
He's trade bait. He'll wind up back up with somebody, but I can see him getting traded. Michael Franco in Philadelphia, not much going on, right?
He's not hitting well. He's off to a bad start.
Bad start. And you know what? Cody Ash is doing a halfway decent job, so there's no rush there. Oscar Taveras. Man, here's an interesting guy.
Oscar.
You know what? Here's an interesting guy, world of talent. He hit a 2-run home run the other night in the first inning. Only hitting a .192, so far in the year. But you know what? He's a guy that has missed a lot of time due to injuries. He will be up at some point, probably in June. But do they have a spot for him?
I'm tired of talking about him.
I'm a little tired myself.
Just come up and hit. I mean, just put this guy and let him hit or not hit or whatever. But the anticipation now has worn me out. I'm tired of Oscar.
Right. So let's talk a little strategy here for the remainder of the show. If you're in, it depends on the type of league you're in. If you're in a weekly league where you have to set your lineup prior to the beginning of the week and then you're stuck with it, you can't make any changes over the course of the week, you want to look at 2-star pitchers. Guys that have the opportunity to go out there and get you 2 starts and have good matchups. We got a pretty good list of guys for this week. Beginning Monday, Masahiro Tanaka, who got off to a little bit of a, do I want to say rough start? Probably. I wouldn't even go that
Not a rough
far.
start. I would say he's definitely had a decent start.
This guy can pitch, folks.
Yeah, not a spectacular start, but he struck out 10 guys the other night. They lost to the Orioles. I don't think he was on the hook for the loss, but he's got 2 starts this week that look pretty decent to me. One of them looks real good.
Yeah.
He's up against the Cubs and also Tampa
on the
Bay.
15th, he's going against the Cubbies and Jason Hamill. Second start against Tampa Bay and Chris Archer. You got to have him in there. You got to have him in there for both of those starts.
I would.
Another guy who got roughed up. Here's a guy that I love. I've had him in almost every league, for the last couple of years, actually, and that's Jordan Zimmerman. Yep. Jordan Zimmerman is a guy that is usually lights out. But, as he showed in his last start, once in a while will throw you a terrible game and just get, just shellacked. But he's got 2 starts next week. I like them. First start against Miami, against Jacob Turner. And second start against.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with the one against the Cardinals.
Well, we don't even know who he's going against yet. He's he's going against TBA, so that could mean a number of different things. But you got to start this guy for his 2 starts. Here's a guy that got off to a rough start, Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee, 2 starts this week. First start against Atlanta and David Hale. Second start at Colorado against Franklin Morales. I'm starting him in both games. I mean, his guy, he walks nobody.
That's true. Listen, veteran pitcher like that, a Strasburg, a Cliff Lee, you don't really have a whole lot of hesitation about having the 2 starts. It's the other guys that you're looking at the matchups, you're like, do I really want this guy starting in both games?
Yeah. Well, it was a perfect segue to Strasburg. He's got 2 starts this week. Going up against Miami, at Miami, weak hitting team, great pitcher's park. And then the second start is against St. Louis. You like it a little bit less. It's at home though, so I'm certainly starting Strasburg for his 2.
See, Strasburg's one of those guys you plug him in. He's going to pitch the games.
Question.
You're not going to.
You're going to get a clunker every now and then.
You're not going to sit him for either one of those. He's going to play. That's it. Whatever happens, happens.
Right. Now a guy you're high on is Garrett Cole. 2 starts at Cincinnati and against Milwaukee. Not great parks.
But those are 2 matchups I like for him, so I would start him in both of those.
Pitched a great game on Thursday, right? Struck out 9, I think?
Yeah, I would definitely start him in both those games.
Yeah. Anibal, the Cannibal, Sanchez. You know what? 2 starts, Cleveland, Zach McAllister, And against the Angels, Hector Santiago.
Those are both good matchups for him. The Angels now have Hamilton out of the lineup. Santiago got lit up in his last game. So that's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
I would go with that too.
Yeah. A guy that got off to a tremendous start. 12 scoreless innings in his first 2 starts. Hyun-Young Ryu and then Hyun-Rung Pu was terrible in his last start. He got smoked. But 2 starts this week at San Francisco against Lincecum. I like that one a lot.
They're both good starts.
Second one against Trevor Cahill, home. At Dodgers, very pitcher-friendly park.
Yeah, and both pitchers that he's pitching against are struggling. Lincecum got lit up again. Cahill is struggling, so I go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Garza, I like his 2 starts this week. He goes up against St. Louis and then again against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I like those starts. Lance Lynn, a couple of good starts at Milwaukee against Garza. At Washington against Strasburg. What do you think about Homer Bailey? His 2 starts, Pittsburgh and at Chicago.
No, well, Homer Bailey hasn't exactly, lit it up so far. That's an iffy one for me.
He'll throw a no-hitter this year, though.
That's an iffy one for me. I'm not really. I don't think Bailey's really 100% fully ready to pitch yet, in my mind.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yordano Ventura at Houston, which is always a good thing.
That's a must pitch.
That's always a good thing.
That's a must start.
And against Phil Hughes.
That's a must start too.
That's a must start too.
That's 2 beautiful
Minnesota.
ones right there.
Yeah. A couple of guys you may want to stay away. Marco Estrada against St. Louis and at Pittsburgh.
No, you're better off with Eric Estrada in that situation.
And
we got Matt to laugh at that one.
We got Matt in the booth, a little chuckle. Tim Lincecum, I'm not liking this week.
No, the freak is done.
The freak is freaking out. Irvin Santana, you know what? He's got one really good one and one kind of shaky one. The first one at Philly.
He's got 2 good ones.
At Philly?
The Phillies can't hit.
All right. You know what? I'm riding him. I'm definitely riding him. And then the second start is at Citi Field against Cologne and the Mets.
And the Mets can't hit either.
So get him in there. Bronson Arroyo, I like his 2 starts this week against the Mets and against the Dodgers in LA against Mahalam. Here's a guy I'm going to throw out that I threw out last week who I like this week. Chris Young, Seattle pitcher. At Texas, I hate the fact that he's at Texas, but the second start's at Miami. He's going against Robbie Ross in the first one, Brian Hand in the second one. I like him. If he's healthy, I like him. And then finally, if you've got the ability to make changes on a daily basis, we've got a couple of streamers for you, a couple of guys that you can plug in for 1 start.
I'll go through them real quick. David Hale is pitching, I guess, I think it's next Sunday against the Mets. That's definitely a must start. Aaron Harang is pitching on Friday against the Mets.
He's looked good.
He pitched well against them the other day. Kevin Correa, I think Kevin Correa, not that Kevin Correa is a good pitcher or a great pitcher, but he's got 2 starts against the Royals, I believe. One of them I think is actually Sunday, and another one I think is the following Saturday. So one of them's in the week, one of them's out of the week, but still. Keep that in mind. Bruce Chen against Houston on Thursday. That's a good one. And again, Chen's not a great pitcher, but if you need a start and he's pitching against Houston, that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on Colby Lewis. He will pitch next week, probably against Seattle towards the latter part of the week. I doubt he'll catch Houston early on. They play Houston, but he'll be Seattle later on in the week, I believe. Keep an eye on him. And Rick Porcello on Wednesday, pitching against Cleveland. It's another one. There's always 4 or 5 decent matchups to keep an eye on. Take a shot with one of those guys if you need the innings. Don't throw them in there if you don't need the innings.
If you need it, those are good options. All right, we're going to wrap it up for our 4th show of the season already.
Yep.
Wow. Thanks to Matt Martin behind the glass. Great job again. And the General and I will be back next week.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Have a good week, and we'll catch you next week on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on InRavio.com. Thanks for watching.
be sure to watch In or Out, pun intended, on Friday nights on InRavio.com.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world, so come and catch us.